Hello guys and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today it is time for a more transfer section. It's been a little while since we last did one of these, mostly because the transfer rumours for Real Madrid right now recently have been really dry because we know who's going to come in at this point, and this squad is pretty much complete, almost complete, apart from probably one position really in the squad and then a couple of squad depth issues. So the list that we got here, right here, it's not exactly like the lists of the past where we've had some superstar names. There are some superstar names, but these are mostly young talents. So let's get it started right away. Let's start with Alejandro Grimaldo, who's obviously had a fantastic season for Bayer Leverkusen this season, and he's been a real key part of their season. I think his contribution on all ends of the field has just been fantastic, especially in the attacking side of the pitch. His control is the way he finds the pass all the time. He scores goals consistently, and he's just a fantastic player. Now, we've always talked about him. I remember I said last year when he was leaving Benfica, I said he would be a good signing for us on the free. And he joined Bayer Leverkusen instead, and he's had a terrific season. So I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying I had the idea of signing Alejandro Grimaldo then, but he wouldn't exactly be the most expensive player. What are your thoughts on Grimaldo? Because right now we've got a little bit of a left back surplus, especially with Alphonso Davies comes in. But I actually prefer the idea of Alejandro Grimaldo over Alphonso Davies at this point, considering how inconsistent Davies has been over these last 2 years. And I think Grimaldo is he's obviously Spanish as well, that's obviously a huge advantage as well, but I think he's a really good player. What are your thoughts on Grimaldo?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think Davies has had a lot of hype over the past couple of years, especially after that incredible season when Bayern Munich won the Champions League, and I think he deserved it at the time. But now his performances have dropped off a bit, especially defensively. Starting from last season, I still think that he has the potential to be a world-class left back. But at this time, I don't think that he is like much needed at Madrid. We have so many options at left back, and there's so many talented left backs on the market as well. Who maybe we can sign, like smart transfers we can sign. And I'm not even mentioning like Miguel Gutierrez. Grimaldo is one of them. I think he's one of those guys who, in my opinion, is unique in terms that he can control the game from deep and he can create chances. And his set piece ability is also excellent as well. And of course, we need that with Tony Kroos leaving on set pieces. So I think it's definitely a smart transfer, but I don't think it's one that we would utilize. But of course, I think it's an upgrade of Fran Garcia, if I'm being honest, and Mendy as well. Because I think football is played on the ball. No matter how good Mendy is defensively, I think Grimaldo would definitely, raise our ceiling to a higher level on the ball because he is so incredible on the ball. And he's not too bad defensively as well. Of course, Mendy is way better. But on the ball, I think he can definitely help us in possession and help get chances to our attackers because he's neat on the ball. Of course, if I have to pick between Grimaldo and Mendy or Garcia, I definitely pick Grimaldo because of what he can do on the ball. He's definitely important to Bayer Leverkusen winning this season this year. And of course, let's not forget that Bayer Leverkusen wanted Fran Garcia last year, like 1 year and a half ago. And of course, they didn't get him. He chose Madrid in January. And then in the summer, they got Grimaldo, and he became so key to them winning the league. So maybe they wouldn't have won the league if they signed Garcia. Sucks to say that, but it's probably the truth because Grimaldo is someone who definitely was key to Bayer Leverkusen winning the league. And I don't think we can say that about Mendy or Fran Garcia, maybe or even Miguel yet at this time.
Yeah, I mean, the pure difference between all of them is the fact that Grimaldo is a game winner. And I actually made a tweet like last month or something where I said I would love to have Grimaldo at Real Madrid, and the Fran Garcia army came after me and ripped me apart after that. But I do believe that it's not a question between him and Florian Mendy. It's a question between him and Fran Garcia. And for me, there's no doubt Grimaldo's a better player than Fran Garcia. It's just whether it's worth going through the hassle to go and just replace Fran Garcia for no reason apparently. I mean, he has actually been a good player for us this season, and he's provided us assists. It's just whether Grimaldo would be even better. So I've been a day one supporter of Grimaldo, so I've got that attachment to him. But I think it's fair if we stick with Fran Garcia for one more season at least. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Grimaldo. Let's move on to the next player, Florian Wirtz, who we talked about Bayer Leverkusen already, but I think he's Bayer Leverkusen's best player. And he's been a fantastic player this season for them, Bundesliga Player of the Year. And we've talked about him in the past, but it looks like these rumours have intensified a little bit. So because it's apparent that Real Madrid want to make him the next Galactico for 2025. I'm not sure how that's going to work for the midfield. I know he's a fantastic player, and he's definitely a different midfielder from the rest of the guys in the midfield right now, because he's more of an out and out 10 compared to the rest of the midfielders that we have, and he's definitely more of a creative dude. He's a lot more creative than the guys that we already have, but it's just whether it's necessary, because we've got 4 fantastic young midfielders right now. I say young, Fede is 25 right now, so he's still young, but he's not in the same category as the rest of the guys. But it's just whether where would he play is my question. But there's no doubt he's a fantastic player, and I have a bit of doubt because I don't know where he would go in this situation. The obvious situation would be Bayern, but they've already got Musiala. Then you look elsewhere. I just don't want him to go to Man City at the end of the day. So I think he's a fantastic player. I would love to have him around Madrid, but it's just who over. There's just nobody you can take over him. So what are your thoughts on Florian Wirtz?
I'm shocked that the market for him isn't that high, because I think City, less City because they have Foden and Kevin and Bernardo, but I think Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal will do well with him on the team. He can also play high up the pitch as well. But for me, I think if he has to come, he definitely have to play high up the pitch. I think that means either Diaz or Rodrigo. I think it depends on their features. I think if he signs, maybe Diaz will have to leave, because Diaz, his minutes.
I think Rodrigo leaves, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Rodrigo might leave, but if Rodrigo plays a lot of minutes next season, I think Diaz will be the one playing less. And then I think in Madrid, it's a bit technical compared to other teams, where we kind of the coach has to make it work with the players at his disposal. And I think that the management would do their bit in, forcing out the players who I guess maybe that they don't, not that they don't want, but maybe they think is no longer needed. So I think if Rodrigo plays a lot next season, and he wants to stay, I think he would stay, and Diaz will be the one leaving. Because of course the management and the coaching staff would hold Rodrigo higher than Diaz. And fair enough, because Rodrigo has been here a bit longer and contributed to bigger goals than Diaz. Even though Diaz can play both sides effectively and is 2-footed, etc. I think if he does come, I think one of them will have to leave. It can go either way, because Rodrigo might want to leave because there are many teams interested in him, and we will get more money out of him. But I think one of the attackers has to leave regardless. Not the midfielders, one of the attackers has to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best example for this is that Real Madrid love to do this. They've done it so many times in the past. Ozil and Bale comes to mind, and then the other one is Di Maria and James. Or that's probably what's going to happen here.
I think Rodrigo is higher regarded compared to Di Maria.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Di Maria, yes, he had the match performance in the Champions League, and he had that wonderful season playing in midfield. But I think the symbol of Rodrigo, if it makes sense, is worth more than what Di Maria was, in my opinion. I think Rodrigo was like the pinnacle of the rise of Madrid, back to where we were a few years ago, because of his age. Yes, Di Maria came in and young as well, but I think Rodrigo just emphasizes so much more, because I think in the past we had Cristiano and Benzema and Ozil. We had so many players, and I think Cristiano is the main one. So of course, because Cristiano was so high above these other guys, is a little rare. I think it's easier to let them, in my opinion. It's difficult to let go of Vinicius and Rodrigo after what they contributed so much to our success, because there isn't like one standout youngster. Yes, Vinicius is a standout youngster, but I think Rodrigo was so close to his quality for so many years that the feeling is a bit different in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: I don't want to see Rodrigo sold to bring Florian Wirtz in. That's for sure. Let's move on to the next player, another Leverkusen player, Jeremy Frimpong. Now, I've completely been turned off by this guy. I don't think it's the right move, because if you recall in the Europa League final, he just got completely done by Atalanta. He just completely neutralised, and they just, as most of Leverkusen did. He just didn't look comfortable, whatever came at him, and especially in possession, whenever he got pressed, he just didn't look comfortable. And I've just been turned off because I've always had the doubts about his defensive game, and it's come up even more. I just think at Real Madrid you cannot have a winger at right back. It's physically not possible when this guy's he can't defend, I don't think, and that's gonna be a problem. And we're gonna talk about another fullback who can't defend soon, but I mean, for me, it's a no-no for Jeremy Frimpong. I think he's a fantastic player and he would do really well at another club, but it's a no-no for me. What are your thoughts on Frimpong?
I mean, unless Xabi Alonso comes, I think that can be the only way, because Xabi Alonso can make it work. But I think the big difference is when you have all these attackers on the field, who's going to be occupying your spaces, I would say. I don't think he'd get the same freedom at Madrid. I think that's the main deciding factor. I think if let's just say we were short on attackers, we were playing this diamond formation like we started the season with, then I think it would make sense. But with all these attackers occupying these spaces, Valverde getting into those spaces as well, Bellingham maybe might find himself in those spaces on the far right hand side sometimes. I think it's not going to work out for him tactically. It maybe would have worked, I guess, if let's just say we were under like when Zidane in 1920 and we just needed those extra output in attack in 2021, and they needed these extra numbers in attack just to make up for the fact that we lacked it. That would have worked, but now I think it's not going to work. I think we would be better off suited with another option, in my opinion. Yes, he's good, and yes, he's going to score goals. Honestly, it's difficult for me to, I guess, constantly criticize players who, when they can defend and attack more, but it's the truth. It's difficult for that to work at a club like Madrid. I guess that's why Fran Garcia, whether he has we had so many faith in him that he would get into the team. If Fran Garcia is finding this difficult, and I think he would find it tough as well. Yes, Frimpong is better than Garcia, but in my opinion, I think that Frimpong would find it difficult as well, seeing that Madrid, you need to be let's just say like 2020 vision, you need to be good on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I just think it's not about how good you are; it's about play style, and I just don't think Frimpong fits. And that's not to say he won't fit elsewhere, but I just don't think it's going to work at Real Madrid. And then Trent, we've got next, Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool, obviously. We've already discussed this, so I mean, it's just an update on the situation. Obviously, Liverpool have now announced their new manager as Arne Slot. I'm not that confident in his ability to go and lead Liverpool, and so if there is a possibility that situation could be unsettled, I think that there is a possibility for that to happen. But we've already discussed Frimpong. I think a lot of the same points go through here. It's just Trent's just on another level. But yeah, I think if Trent was to become available, it's just a point of can you say no? Probably not. So what are your thoughts on Trent Alexander-Arnold?
I think with Trent, it's a bit different because yes, of course, he had issues defending, especially in big nights and in big moments, and guys like Martinelli and even Vinicius but Martinelli more often because he plays in England. Has constantly taught him on these nights. But I think with Trent, his starting position will be a lot deeper to start off with, in my opinion. His starting position will be so deep that, of course, it will allow other guys to, let's just say, how do you say it? It will allow other guys to occupy these attacking positions, and he can be more catered to assisting. I guess similar to Grimaldo, because Grimaldo's starting position isn't as high as Jeremy Frimpong. So I think that's why I would be more suited to maybe guys like Grimaldo and Trent Alexander-Arnold who can be a bit more of a creator from deep positions and get the ball forward by their passing compared to like the acceleration and the boost of speed from wide positions. So I think that's something unique, and of course Trent maybe is better in stepping into midfield as well. Similar to what Camavinga does from when he plays at left back, I think Trent can step into midfield as well and make those passes as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic player, and it all hinges on whether Arne Slot does really well next season or not. So, let's see how that situation transpires. I know, Sean, you have to hop off at this current moment in time, so, thank you despite your stretched time for coming on today.
Yeah, of course, and thank you, and I hope that all the Madridistas continue to celebrate the 15 titles throughout this entire summer. So have a good summer, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for joining me once again. Let's continue with the rest of the players on my own. First of all, let's talk about Cardoso Varela from Porto. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think we don't know much about him because he's 15 years old. So I'm not going to continue this for too long. But left winger Porto, we've been linked to him. I don't know much about him, let's be honest, but if he's been identified at age 15, he's probably pretty good, isn't he? So, hopefully, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. So, let's see what happens with that situation. Let's move on to the next player, Thomas Parmo, another 16-year-old from Independiente in Argentina. I think he's a really, really talented guy. I think he's just broken into the first team. The appearances haven't come yet, but I think there's a real hope that he can be a proper player for Independiente before he's linked. And we can take this to the next player as well, Franco Mastronono, who's definitely a bit more accomplished. And then we'll see what happens with these two Argentinians. I think they're both 16, both players just broke into this first team. There's a real hope for both of these guys that they could be top players. However, I've watched videos of them. They don't look, we've talked about Endrick, right? Let's bring this back, right? We've talked about Endrick before. Personally, I've talked about Endrick a lot when he was this age, and you just could tell that he was so far ahead of everyone else on his age. And I can tell that these two guys are pretty good for their age, and they're obviously the cream of the crop, but they're not Endrick level talents. They're not this completely ridiculous, so far ahead of everyone at their age level talents. And so I'm a bit cautious about these two players. Not to say that they're not good enough or anything like that. I just think it's a bit early for us to go after them. The next player that we've obviously been interested in is a kid called Aaron Anselmino from Boca Juniors. I think he's a centre back. The previous two guys, by the way, were attacking midfielders. Aaron Anselmino is a centre back. Has been playing for the Boca Juniors team for 2 years now. He's been playing for the first team for 2 years. Played a few games last season, but he's a really strong defender, and he's really this type of big, strong Argentinian centre back. 19 years old. I think he's a really good, exciting talent. He's a bit older, a bit more mature than the other two I've just said. But yeah, I mean, I think he could be a potential great player for us, especially at centre back. I think, especially if we need a centre back for the next few years, I think having this guy locked and ready in the centre back. And if he goes wrong, like these three guys, if we sign them this young and it doesn't pan out for them at Real Madrid, we can obviously sell them on later on. That's what La Fabrica is for. It's called the factory for a reason. It's for selling these talents at the end of the day. And I think Anselmino could be a potential guy to be that type of player. And then if we move on to the actual centre back that we're properly linked to, is Lenny Yoro. I think there's been a lot of escalating rumours between him and PSG. I think that could be a potential problem for us because he's got 1 year left in his contract. Lille are demanding a bit too much for a dude who's got 1 year left on his contract. However, they know that they've got PSG negotiating. And if PSG are negotiating, they can definitely go overboard and pay a bit too much for him, which causes problems for Real Madrid. At the end of the day, this guy should not be costing more than 30 million because he's got a year left on his contract. And so I'm a bit concerned because PSG are willing to pay probably like 50, which is just ridiculous. Liverpool are also interested in him. I wouldn't listen. I just don't think Liverpool are too much of a problem if Real Madrid fully decide to go through with this. The main problem is because PSG's finances will just say, let's just pay 50 million. Real Madrid won't match, and let's take Lenny Yoro to Paris. So I'm a bit concerned about that, but there's nothing we can do at this moment in time. Just wait and see and try and lower that price, because I think if it's just a fight between us and PSG for who can get that signature, I think it's obviously going to be us. So I'm hopeful that Lenny Yoro decides to come to Real Madrid and holds off on any PSG offers, but who knows? Let's move on to the next player, right winger / attacking midfielder Matthias Sula from Frosinone in Italy, on loan from Juventus. 21 years old. He's been fantastic this season. I've got to give him the flowers he deserves. He's been keeping Frosinone in the relegation battle, keeping them alive in a relegation battle, and I think in the end, did Frosinone get relegated? I believe they did, just about. I think they went down in the final game of the season where they I just checked, they're 1 point behind Empoli in 18, so they were really close to staying up this season, but I think the only dude that was properly giving them a fighting chance of staying up was Sule. He was giving them that type of arrogant play, that type of proper play. 11 goals, 3 assists this season, and you might sneer at that, but for a team that are in relegation battle, to get that from your winger is a fantastic achievement from Sule, and I think he's a fantastic young player. He's already spoken about his willingness to come to Real Madrid. He's always talking about his hope of coming to Real Madrid, but maybe that doesn't happen. But he's been linked to Aston Villa in these last few weeks. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he can definitely continue progressing. He'll obviously be going back to Juventus this summer. Whether Juventus want to keep him, that's up to Thiago Motta, who's obviously their new manager. I think he'd be a great player for Juventus. Let's see what happens, because I think he could be a proper contributor to that new Juventus young team with Kenan Yildiz, with Chiesa, with Dusan Vlahovic, with Samuel Illing, all these guys who are fantastic players. I think Sula could help that, but he could also net them a fair chunk of change. So I hope he stays at Juventus, tries to make a name for himself, and if we need to, we can come in a couple of years later and steal him from Juventus. But the last player, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken. Hopefully, I'm not. Is Raul Bellanova from Torino, another Italian player here, and I think he's a really, really exciting dude. He's been a bit of a journeyman. He's been bounced around from a lot of Italian clubs. Even at age 24, he's been bounced around for a lot of Italian clubs, but he's finally made it to Torino this season, and he's been really, really good. He provided a real spark for them from right wing back. The only problem is, similar to Jeremy Frimpong, as me and Sean discussed a little bit earlier, he's a pure winger at right back, and that has to be emphasised. This guy is not a defender. He's even worse at defending than than Frimpong, and for that reason I'll probably say no to him, but he is a fantastic attacker of the ball, and he'll probably be called up for Italy. I think he has been called up for Italy this year, and he'll probably be starting right back for Italy at the Euros. So if you guys want to check out Bellanova, you can check him out at the Euros, because he's probably going to play a lot of games for Italy. We were going to discuss Luis Guilherme from Palmeiras, but it's been announced that he's probably going to go to West Ham by Fabrizio Romano. So at the end of the day, that's probably not going to happen. But I hope you guys have enjoyed today's Los Blancos podcast. A bit of a shorter one, but we finally got this more transfer section out after a couple of months without doing it. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. We'll be talking a little bit more about Real Madrid in the coming weeks, because it's obviously going to be the off season now. It's going to be transfer season. Hopefully Mbappe is announced. I am recording this just after the Champions League final, so that's why this is, obviously we don't know what's happening with Mbappe at this point. But it's probably likely that Mbappe is announced. Here we go at this point, and so that's great to see. Let's see what happens with Lenny Oro and Alphonso Davies. We'll be discussing Endrick in the coming months. We'll be discussing Castilla in the coming months. We'll be discussing Barcelona probably in the coming months. We'll be discussing all the pre-season games, the season review, the Mbappe transfer, all of this coming up in the next couple months. So it's going to be an exciting couple months for us. So stay tuned, have your notifications on. But that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's Los Blancos podcast. But apart from that is it today. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.